Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review Killer Frequency VR, a game released on the MetaQuest store June 1st, 2023 by developer Team 17 Digital. It normally retails for $24.99. I did buy this game and I played it on the MetaQuest 3. Killer Frequency VR is a horror comedy narrative driven game. It is a choices matter type of game along with some simple puzzles. It reminded me a lot of the Telltale The Walking Dead series. So some fetch quests, solve some puzzles, and make some difficult decisions. It took me about 5 hours to complete the game. I would imagine it take most people between 4 to 6 hours to beat the game, but there are 4 different endings, so there is extended playtime if you want to see all the flavors of this experience. I do have mixed feelings about this game. At the end of the day though, I am going to recommend it, but there are some negatives to be aware of. So let's talk about Killer Frequency and what I liked and what I did not like. First of all, let's talk about the story. Talking about the setup for this game is very important, so you know exactly what you're getting into if you decide to buy this game, and I will do my best to avoid any spoilers. So the year is 1987, and you're a big city radio DJ, Forrest Nash, who's come to the small town of Gallows Creek, and you're working the graveyard shift. And there happens to be a serial killer on the loose. You and your producer Peggy get involved, trying to solve the mystery of who the serial killer is, while also helping any potential victims. You can either guide them to safety or guide them to their demise. Hopefully you see how this is now a horror comedy. And yes, you can intentionally kill everyone, and that will be one of the endings for this game. There's actually a lot of tension in this game, but at the same time there's also some lighthearted comedy. So the game doesn't take itself too seriously, and it does lean on this neon 80s synthy vibe. Meanwhile, you're doing your normal DJ duties. You're playing music, you're playing the ads, you're taking callers. You might make a wisecrack or two. And the voice actors here do a pretty good job. You and Peggy work together and you have a pretty good back and forth banter, and the town is full of interesting characters. And given the high stakes of the situation, a lot of the choices here really do feel like they matter. Some of these choices are literally life and death. And I actually enjoyed the murder mystery here, getting to the bottom of it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of problems with this VR port that really do bring down the experience for VR and for the MetaQuest. It is running on the Unity engine, and unfortunately it has a problem that a lot of Unity engine games have, and that is that the game is just simply too dark in several areas. Now, I compared the gameplay that I saw from the non-VR version to the VR version, and there's a definite difference in just how dark it looks on the MetaQuest versus the non-VR version. And if you look at the YouTube video, there's several parts where you just simply cannot even see the door in front of you. This game does have a lot of fetch quests, and when it's really dark, it's really difficult to find those items. And it's pretty obvious this is a MetaQuest 2 game with no Quest 3 enhancements. And even though it's a cel-shaded art style, there is a noticeable downgrade when it comes to the VR version of this game. I happen to own the flat version on Steam, and I enjoyed the crisper visuals on Steam, the higher resolution, the better lighting, and it made me question whether I wouldn't have been better off just playing the Steam version versus playing the Quest version. And I love VR, and I'll choose VR over flat gaming 99 times out of 100, but this one really made me question my choice. You do have full locomotion along with teleportation available. You only have snap turning. Now you can choose degree of turn, but there is no smooth turning at all. Now you can play this game comfortably seated, but I had to click on the crouch button twice because it had a crouch and then it would automatically change to what the game called artificial standing. So by default I was too low to the ground, but by doing this trick of hitting the crouch button twice, I was then at normal height. You also have a force grab mechanic to grab items at a distance. Now I did not experience any serious issues or bugs. However, the game overall felt very clunky. I had some pathing issues using the free locomotion. The VR interactions were usually pretty poor. Most of the time I would just open a door by running into it versus trying to grab onto the doorknob and pull on it. You cannot interact with most objects in the environment. Those few that you can interact with usually just involves being able to pick them up and throw them. Most keys that you collect just automatically go into some invisible inventory, and then they just automatically open a door that's locked previously. Meanwhile, while other items you actually have to carry all the way back, as there is no actual inventory. And I also felt that a lot of the interactions just were inconsistent. Trying to play a specific vinyl record was usually frustrating because I would pick up the wrong one and have to do several attempts. And like I said, you're a DJ and you're playing records, you're taking calls, and all those switches and levers and buttons, they were just not very polished and it felt clunky to use them. And then obviously you're using your laser control to make the different dialogue choices. So the combination of the poor visuals and the clunky VR controls make this game feel not very immersive to play in VR. And if you guys follow my channel, you know that I love good narrative driven games. Killer Frequency is a game that's right up my alley, and I should have loved the VR experience. I do think this is a good game. It is a fun horror comedy, but it's just not a very good VR port. I will say though that a lot of the time is spent behind your DJ booth, and I did get a little bit of stir crazy just staring at the same thing. It did not help that when you leave your DJ booth, you leave to go to very dark but also very small spaces. And the locomotion feeling kind of clunky also just made visiting these spaces not very pleasant. But at the end of the day, I did enjoy this game, and I do recommend it because there is a very strong narrative here. If you enjoy a good story in VR, you might appreciate this experience. I think they nailed it as far as the horror comedy and as far as feeling that your choices really do matter. So I do recommend this game, and if I have to rate it, I would give it a nice 6.5 out of 10. It's a good game at its core, but it's just a very poor VR port. And if you're a PC VR veteran like myself, you might be underwhelmed by the compromises made to make this run on the MetaQuest. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video.
Bingo. Here's what I was looking for.
Any luck?
Yeah, I found a map for the maze in the trash.
Why was it in the trash? Never mind. It doesn't matter right now. That's a question for Barbara later. Eugene called while you were away. He's on line 1.
Welcome back to 189.16 The Scream. I hope you lovers like that track. And I hope we can help our lover in the maze. Eugene, you're back on air.